I've been seeing COVID is some kind of gift these days for our practice. Things have um, things have shifted, as Rob was saying. For the last 7 months, our dojo's been closed. Everything, and we've maintained a quality of community and connection and fidelity to practice that touches me, as well as on, particularly on Ikeda Sensei's classes, we see people from all over the world some evenings. And it's been a time, as Rob was describing, to work with the interior, not in some kind of mystical or spacey way, but in the sense of empowering and staying faithful. In fact, enhancing the interior fidelity to our external skills and our external dedication. So I'll tell you kind of quickly what I'm thinking about. My space is our living room. It's turned into something of a workout room. We have a massage table in that corner, pads at the side for sitting practice and yoga. But I have been teaching for decades at Naropa University, and they treat Aikido and Tai Chi and Judo, the Japanese archery, as contemplative martial practices. And it's been a wonderful opportunity because interiority and states of mind are easy to reference in that context of that student body. And the way I'll be focusing today is to keep returning to embodied intentionality and embodied presence. So we are non-local. We are our Aikido class, believe it or not, even for beginners. I held 4 classes in our dojo at Naropa with our proper physical distancing, but we brought it back to being a Zoom class. And I took our small shrine. You can see I have it at this end of the room. So I teach out of this room with my cohort, Nate Gilbert. And this is the shrine that is normally set up into a room we've had so long on one of the Naropa campuses that people refer to it as the dojo. There's even a sign on the wall that has dojo in Braille as well. So it's our practice is well received there. And the way I'll head into things this morning is to do some things I don't do in our classes, but may, after reflection, start to initiate them. When we first sit before the shrine, we pause, and what I'd like us to do, we normally just say sitting, and the students know where to go with that because meditation is on everyone's schedule. But we sit, but I'd like us to sit breathing. And then bowing in, and I want to make a point of that bow as we go down, that it's this wonderful time to lengthen and let the body take care of the proper compressions, to lengthen the top of the head out the tailbone. That bow to the founder, that bow to our lineage, the bow to the wholeness that we're a part of. And then as we turn, we'll be able to bow into each other. And taking that moment of bowing in to lengthen, it's almost like the child's pose in yoga that really allows the back to open for breath, for deeper breath. And then we'll do some movement practice on the ground. I'll just continue from there. Believe it or not, I'm so stunned at Rob's route this morning, but we'll use the 8 directions path of, but we'll do that standing. And after that, I was going to talk about moving the ball around the way Akeda Sensei has been instructing our more advanced classes and our interiority classes. So there's going to be a surprising lot of similarity with what we've been just doing. Okay, so please, coming to a place where you can sit for a moment, paying attention to breath. I have really poor knees. I turn my zafu on its side to try to get a somewhat, can you hear me? Anybody?
Yes, we can.
Good, good.
Yes, Jude.
All right, thank you. That's helpful. So just that moment of settling and noticing the breath, the cool air coming in all the way down, and then the warm, soft air on the exhale. I'm going to do just 3 or 4 of them for myself so I can settle down a bit. Please join me. Okay, and then bowing in. And rising up, and our custom and our practice is to clap twice, and bowing again. And then although bowing to each other and shouting if you can, "Onegashimasu!" And I'm going to grab my computer, put it down low, and we'll stay on the ground for a bit, hoping you have some mat space. So I like you to just put the soles of your feet together and to begin to roll back and forward, and rolling back along the sits bones and forward. And I was thinking about Hara, Dantian, womb space, that deep chakra in Hindu tradition. And then sideways, initiating from below, tilting to rolling on the sides. And maybe, as you can see, Gary and Rob and I are both thinking, he with that wonderful example of the snugness of the egg in the egg cup. And then that ball within. Akeda Sensei, as he's wanting to drive people's imagination and intention inwardly, has been using the ball and as if our life force, our hara vitality can be moved in that contained and deliberate way. And then letting ourselves start to fall over. It's so lucky we've been warmed up with his work. And then letting our bodies fall and come up. Trace Hoffmeister Sensei has the strength inside to be able to keep his feet together the whole time. I still have gaps in my extension. Where I have to reach for it a little more. And then instead of landing on the elbows, start to extend the elbow and let the roll occur. And that slow pace, actually, those extensions required build a deep quality of strength. Going, maybe doing 4 more. And then bring yourself to standing. Not sure exactly where to best place.
That's pretty good.
To take a moment and just rub the feet against the surface. You may be on a rug. I'm on some zabutons that I laid out that are usually under the meditation cushion. And not only are there 27 joint spaces in each foot, and joint spaces are poorly vascularized, little blood flow to them, but they're highly innervated. They're very smart. They give us a lot of info about where we are, what the ground is like, the proprioceptor capacities of the skin. We felt that we knew where we were when we were rolling on the ground, because that intelligence is a liquid on the surface and within. So upright, sensing the feet, and if you will, switching to the right and lifting the leg and noticing what kind of accommodations are there. How do you do it? You're gonna step off onto the solidity of the floor and off that bumpy mat. And I learned this from Ikeda Sensei. There was a time we left the dojo and went to an office building and had centering classes. And he talked about this of taking balance, but he had us go over to the wall and do the practice, and when we felt edgy, to touch the wall and let the solidity of it speak to our system. I'm here on a wobbly pad, but touching the wall. And then coming back, shifting weight to the left foot, raising up, and feeling wobbly maybe, touch the wall. Foot down. Switch to the right again. Settling. Expect asymmetry. We are differently abled on our different sides. Okay, and then the knee rotations. And we call that kind of knee warm-ups, but we're actually, if we're working well, it's those joint spaces of the feet that are providing the ease and the strength for that much more simple joint that the knee is, and the hips as well. Okay. And then Rob and I are thinking again in a similar way. When we come up to the area of the pelvis where these huge psoas muscles strengthen the connection between the trunk and the limbs and our legs, we can become agile in this area just in our simple warming up time. So we can shift forward, shift back. This isn't just moving hara, but it's actually physically. And then stabilizing the chest, shift weight below. Shift forward and back. The same capacity we had to roll this, the magnificence of the hip socket, the ball and socket joints that they are. And this whole pelvic girdle can be rocked forward, and you can isolate it and create hip rotations. The pubic bone coming upward when we're in the forward range, and then it descends. And if you're working with that lordosis in the spine, a little too much forward rotation, work in such a way to protect any delicacy or liability you have. So we've got hara and ground, hanmi when one leg is forward or back, and then isolating this whole protective bony structure, the guardian, the chest guardian, where our heart and our liver and our spleen and lungs are, and let's lift out of the pelvis, lengthening. The psoas muscles are attached in this area, and the ones that allow us to flex and extend the legs with power are there, so we can shift side to side and forward and back. In a dance class, these are called isolations. In an Aikido class, they're for strengthening and dancers too, so that our articulation is awoken, that we begin to use parts of ourselves that we never dream of. And so taking a breath and touching the heart area, awakening as you're breathing fully to the front, the back, and sides of the lung, all the way down if you can. And there's that sense of the diaphragm relaxing too in the process, and the pelvic floor easing, and the sphincter muscles calming, so that as we breathe, as we're being breathed, we tune to this magnificent life-feeding force. Okay. And coming up with, to get the crown of the head up, just drop the chin a tad without moving the forehead much. And it lengthens along the occipital ridge, and then extending upwardly and downwardly. In Aikido, our practice is being able to see the upside of things, the neutral and the downside. We don't turn our gaze away and then to the side. But this is an extension, so that both sides of the neck are lengthening. And then a rotation. The rest of the body, notice what happens in the feet when the head is moving, extending. Okay, then we have head, heart, hara, and stepping into a favorite, hanni, hands. I was thinking we're the 5H club. It's just movement, and expansion. And switching hanni, coming down, and then drawing up and settling, drawing in the force of breath and sharing it again. Two more, as if our palms could breathe. And so I have been working with, not because I knew what was on Rob's mind, but not just the hara version of 8 directions, but the formal practice of it. Would you give me, I'll go into the gallery view for a sec. Just better get my glasses. And does everybody know, if I say practicing 8 directions, what I mean by that? Would you just do a thumbs up if you, Julian, do you know what that is, for instance? Gary, good. I just want to know how much I might need to show initially, because I'd like to do, I made an assumption about it being a very typical practice, but it might not be so. The 8 directions, I was thinking of it this morning. In any indigenous ceremony, The 8 directions are called in. The life force is called in. So if you'll join me, left foot forward. We're going to step in. Imagine we're opening to the springtime. 180, the opposite, autumn. We switch to the corner and lead left again, stepping into summer, and then to winter. We take the left foot and step towards, the Celts call it the cross quarter, that space between autumn and winter. It's Day of the Dead, All Hallows time. We have it as Halloween, when the ghosts of past are present. And then we make a 180 and we slide right into 6, the 6th movement. That's made, I forget, I'll tell you later. It's between the east and the south. It's May Day. Yes, it's May Day. And then we turn to that space between, oh, shucks, folks. I'll tell you later. This is number 7, and this is number 8. I was trying to add a little too much decoration to this. The 8 directions: forward, 180, to the rear, to the side, 180, to the corner, to the opposite corner, to the nearest corner, to the opposite corner. So let's do this together. And maybe you can see that I've added a strike. So please, if you will, taking the first with the lead leg, make a forward cut. And 1, and 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. What I want to contrast in this practice is something that we can deal with when we're working solo. And we can organize ourselves as ukes coming in, brown belly, hard head, hands, and we come entering 1. We feel that integrity of coming in and making a statement, coming right to the point. And we turn and we deal with stepping in with the truth to this position. Then we turn to this position and we use this need to stay centered and willing to change as needed. My query is almost always, how does Aikido take us out to the true practice? How we have to live and engage? How do we really meet the Aiki of the universe that's ours? So left foot forward again. Please join me with that intensity and direction. 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All my life, I thought that 8 directions was only on the left side. And if you have that same turns out mistaken notion is I. Please join me and let's move that over to the right side. I hope it's new for you as it was new for me. Thinking I could never do it, I think I've finally become familiar with it. I'm an old dog and this is really a new trick, and so changed my opinion about possibilities. Right foot forward, right hand striking, and 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. When I introduce this to new students, I have them do a shomanuchi for starters, just trying to get things organized and to be more vitalized and ready to roll. And here, I offer them, and they can't tell for sure what I'm speaking of, but I find this practice a wonderful settling way to move in with ikkyo, with the ikkyo reception. Join me, see what it's like to take this on. Tell you what I actually do with them first. Try this first. I say, come here, as if you're looking for a view through a viewfinder for the perfect picture. And then spin around and receive the perfect picture here. And then receive it here and here, all 8. So join me if you will, just seeing what it's like to take this organized, integrated sharpness and turn it into receptivity. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then actually standing here for a moment, in left hanmi again, breathing, trusting the rhythm of that breath, cool air in, warm, soft air out. Switching to that quality of ikkyo, that aroused vitality that the martial encounter calls to us, but that particular, what is it to receive the ferocity of the world? Can we actually step in with a wholeness and a reception? So practicing that with the 8 directions at your timing. I'll count, so join it if it's right for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That quality, that ikkyo, that aikido welcomed in us to make room for what is. Doing it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
We're actually a little bit over. I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was just then going to check with you about the timing.
Yep.
I'm going to show you really quickly. I hope that you'll all be going to the seminar with us, and that you might study at that time with Ikeda Sensei. He's puzzling over marvelous things. How can people train deeply into old age and authentically into old age? And I have never met a teacher, I think anywhere like him, who whenever he has a skill that he can bring to the surface and articulate, he's always shared it with us. One night he and I was his uke for a technique. And so I trained with him afterward. And it was a 2-hand grab that went to an immediate quick fall. And he's grabbing me, and at one moment I said, "Oh, Hiroshi, I can't wait till I can do this to you." And he said, "Neither can I." And there, I don't know a teacher who actually gives away the store with such generosity. And just the way that Rob has taken and extended some of that teaching of center. Sensei uses a ball, he uses diagrams as well. I just want to show you something in case you're not going. But what he's done, he's asked people to sense, and he uses, in initiating it, he uses the whole body to move hara, for instance. Later, as we refine it, he wants us to have the whole being connected and guided by our intention, our inner image, and how the ball of life force, the ball of origination, that primal area of force and vitality, how can it move? In the Kabbalah, it's called the Yesod, the place that flows in and makes manifest, the secret place. And that movement, he initiates it with moving the ball over. He's so generous with time. I guess you can see where my heart has been for decades and decades. I feel grateful that you all came this morning, and I feel grateful for a lifetime of Aikido. And please, let's bow out together and go happily. And maybe from these 2 classes, with a sense of the vitality of our internality, of this interior potential that we are gifted. So, sitting for a moment, let's take 3 of those breaths. If you will, pause, settle, whether you face a shaman or not. Breathing in. I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I know I'm breathing out. This moment, perfect moment. Raising our hands to bow, lengthening fully into that bow, coming up and clapping. And shouting to each other, "Domo arigato gozaimashita." Please be sure today, thank all the people who made it possible for us to get together.
Thank you very much, Sensei.